is not a nicety. It's not something nice to have for black folk. It is now an absolute necessity. If you do not get reparations soon, black folk, as I told you before, are through. Reparation is not a nicety, it's a necessity. What are the conditions? What are the conditions that precipitated black folk getting into this dilemma? And what black labor, white wealth did, it tracked 800 years of history in very systematic terms to show you every strategy, every technique, every law, every public custom, and every public policy that was used to enslave black folk around the world and to maldistribute almost 100% of all this nation's wealth, power, resource, privileges, businesses, and controls of all levels of government into the hands of the dominant white society. And what slavery and Jim Crow segregation did with black folk, it intentionally maldistributed all the resources away from black folk and created a real-life monopoly game. Black folk in America are playing in a real-life monopoly game that you're totally ill-prepared to play and win.
Peace, love, and reparations. Welcome to Black Star TV 2.0. It's your boy Black Star. What's going on? When you come and hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that share button, we are going to get into this Maryland reparations plan and fund that they supposedly have for black residents. So you see how the headline says black residents? We're going to get into this and we're going to see if this is a trick bag or if this is the real McCoy. You heard? So we know as reparationists that they like to play with the wording, and we always have to be on whether this is lineage-based or race-based. And we know that it has to be lineage-based or we are going to get tricked out of whatever it is. So the money will come from an additional state individual tax rate on the net capital gains of individuals. Whew. Now, I know it's a lot of individual black people in the state of Maryland, because I'm here now as we speak, right in Columbia, Maryland. So let's get it popping. All right, so Maryland lawmakers want to increase taxes to invest in reparations efforts. Senator Jill Carter, Democratic Baltimore City sponsor, the Maryland Reparations Act of 2024, calling for a certain amount of revenue from the state individual income tax and Maryland estate tax to be distributed to the Community Reinvestment Repair Fund. Maryland established the Community Reinvestment Repair Fund, in 2023 to provide funds to organizations that would serve the individuals most impacted by disproportionate enforcement of cannabis prohibition before July 1st, 2022. Now, we already starting off a little bit weird because you're saying the most impacted disproportionate enforcement of cannabis prohibition. Now, that could be a slew of people. We just got away from black and we into individuals who are mostly impacted. But let's keep going. Carter's bill would allocate more funding to the Community Reinvestment Repair Fund by changing the state's tax code. Now, per state law, the money would service low-income individuals in disproportionately impacted areas. Now, the title started off with for black residents. Now we get down here and we are talking about servicing low-income individuals and disproportionately impacted areas. Now, according to Dr. Claude Anderson, this would be broad and ambiguous words because low-income individuals can mean poor whites, poor Hispanics, poor Asians, poor Indians, poor every goddamn body. So, in disproportionately impacted areas. Now, a lot of these areas out here right now are flooding with Hispanics. I'm out here and it is flooded with Hispanics. So, in the poor areas too. So don't get it messed up. So we are just in the beginning stages of our process of legalizing marijuana. We have made some great strides, like when we created the Community Reinvestment and Repair Fund, which is designed to put money back into the prioritized communities of color that would have been negatively impacted by the war on drugs. That unfortunately, war was mainly on poor and Black people. Hold on. So the fund was designed to put money back into to prioritize communities of color. It went from Black residents at the title to prioritize communities of color that have most been negatively impacted by the war on drugs that unfortunately was poor people and Black people. Again, this is a trick bag, family. We already see it. So this isn't something that we down with, because at the end of the day, we already know why they coming up with all this reparation stuff. They coming up with it because November is the election. So Biden's Black vote is down. So Maryland's a largely populated Black state for the most part now. The numbers are going down because they bringing in all these Hispanics. But at the end of the day, it still is heavily populated by Black people. So, they always going to come with that game. And we know anytime if it's race-based, one, it's going to allow other people to come in, and two, it's going to drown us out because we only get about 2% of the resources when anytime is marginalized, minority, when they're using those type of words and they giving us resources, we do not get the lion's share of it. So, and this is very interesting right here, this next line. So it says, the money will come from an additional state individual income tax rate on the net capital gains of individuals. Now, you have a lot of prominent Black people out here. You have a lot of Black people who get money out here in Maryland. PG County is probably the richest Black county in America. So you will be taking their capital gains from foundational Black Americans, descendants of slaves that was emancipated by the U.S. government. You'll be taking their capital gains and then giving it to prioritized communities of color and poor people. So when you're saying this is reparations, you're now trying to tax the people who should be getting the money in the first place. See? It ain't just white people out here making capital gains. It ain't just white corporations out here making capital gains. Family, this is a whole trick bag and we not down with it. But what this bill would do would help to infuse that fund with more money. And it's not too much to ask, because doing the research for this bill, I learned we use the lowest taxation rate of any state in the country that has legalized marijuana, she said. Furthermore, the bill seeks to alter the rates and rate brackets under the state income tax on certain income of individuals and increase the rate of sales and U.S. tax for cannabis from 9% to 14%. So Carter's office did not immediately respond to the request from Fox Digital News. I bet they didn't. And some advocates of reparations have called for institutions and government officials to disseminate up to billions of dollars as a recourse for descendants of slaves due to unpaid labor during slavery in the United States. See, now, even though this has nothing to do with the Maryland thing, because it says some advocates of reparations, like us, right, are asking for trillions, though not billions, right, as a recourse for descendants of slaves due to unpaid labor during slavery. So at the end of the day, they're trying to twist this, use Black here, poor here, disenfranchised here. You see what I'm saying? People of color over here, and then try to make it seem like this is for the descendants of slaves. But see, this isn't. That's why we have to read, and we can't just go with anything, because they will finesse us. And this is why we always have to get out front of this reparation conversation and put this bullshit to a halt. Furthermore, municipalities across the country have established task force to examine U.S. historical ties to slavery, including Boston, San Francisco, New York. And we know that all of them are nothing burgers. We know every single last one of them. Boston, San Francisco. San Francisco already done said they not doing the California. They're not doing the cash payment reparations, but you giving cash to illegal immigrants. You giving cash to Afghanistanians, Ukrainians. You sending money to Israel. You send money everywhere. You give everybody else these cash payments. The people from Guam, the people from Guam got their reparations, cash payments, checks straight off the press. So Evanston, Illinois was the first city in the nation to pass a reparations plan, pledging $10 million over 10 years to Black residents. But we know that all was cap. We know that all was cap too. So family, listen, we not going for it. And again, we knew that Boston, as soon as I seen this with the Boston Reparations Task Force member, we already knew that was cap too, because I did a video on that as well. So at the end of the day, we can't run with this because it is not lineage based. It doesn't go specifically to foundational Black Americans, freedmen's. That's why, and again, family, this is why people are like, foundational Black American. Listen, you have to word ourselves. We have to name ourselves to get other people out the mix. See, African American, that can just be anybody. Again, they say Elon Musk is an African American. We already, listen, if you white and you was born in South America or anywhere, I'm in South Africa or anywhere in Africa, then you come to the United States, you can be considered an African American. So we can't go with that. So family, listen, and anybody who's new to the channel who feel as though, or just watches this and feel as though we shouldn't get reparations because we haven't been harmed. We weren't the ones being slaved, and the people who are being taxed wasn't the ones that were slaving us. I'm just going to say this. Go look up and go to all these Indian reservations. None of these people were on the Trail of Tears. None of these people, had their reservations taken from them at the time when it was taken. I wasn't the one that did it. You wasn't the one who did it. Nobody that's alive today was the ones who did it, but we all are paying. Our federal taxes are going toward paying Native Americans who are 2 years old, 2 months old, 20 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, and it goes on. So at the end of the day, nobody complains about their federal taxes going to these people who you didn't harm and who we didn't harm, but your federal taxes go to pay them all the time to restore them. So at the end of the day, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. Go cry to somebody else. But at the end of the day, we really need this from the federal government, and we ask them to start off with $20 trillion. So peace, love, and reparations. Please make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button hard and hit that like button hard, man. We are up out of here, family. I love y'all.
Motif Alumni.
I feel like pocking this bitch. This ain't no shiny shit. So my ambitions to ride just like it's 96. Said I ain't aiming at no niggas, that shit is dead. If Willie Lynch is a myth, I still know what it said. So we don't fall for them tricks, it's off with your head. I got two Rottweilers by my bed, I feed them lead. Rest in peace, Marquise McLaughlin and Nia Wilson. Racist media have you thinking the victims are villain. All these killings we witnessing domestic terrorism. And niggas still marching, nobody care to listen. Get off your knees, black man, it's time to take a stand. You ain't afraid to go bust your gun in Afghanistan, and this is exasperating. They say I'm advocating violence, well that's fascinating. Coming from the mouth of Leviathan, you evildoers killed the king and he had a peaceful movement, and you want me to be forgiven and just keep it moving? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Tia, cracker, stay on, cold, iffy, holla, slit his toe. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I want all the smoke. I think y'all should choke. Just cause you criticize Trump don't mean y'all is woke. Niggas ain't ready for revolution, yeah, that's a fact. But if they're killing us anyway, then how should we act? Can you grow your own food? Are you stacking your guns? Do you know how to fish? Do you know how to hunt? Can you box? Can you wrestle? Fold a nigga like a pretzel? Are you trained? Can you aim? Have you read the mental nettle? What if revolution came and you had to kill a relative? That's your blood, that's your cuz, that's your uncle. That's irrelevant, shit, it's him or you. I don't care if it was your pastor, if he gon' sell you out for a slave master. I read the Art of War, 48 laws when I was yay tall. I knew the 120 lessons, but all my grades, Paul. Francis Press, Van Sertima, yeah, they came before. If you won't die for nothing, what would was you made for? Fresh crest fans, Sertima, yeah, they came before. If you won't die for nothing, what was you made for? Eeny, meeny, miny, mold, see ya, cracker, stay on, cold, iffy, holla, slitters, dough, eeny, meeny, miny, mold, eeny, meeny, miny, mold, see ya, cracker, stay on, cold, iffy, holla, slitters, dough, eeny, meeny, miny, mold.